Hello friends, this is Barbara from Barbara Wiley, Art and Wigs and Fluff. Today I wanted to talk to you about 5 beauty products for mature women. Yesterday I talked about the aging process and how it is a process, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So today I want to talk to you about 5 products that as we age, and I'm going to be 75 this year, that will help us look the best that we can look. Now, the first one is a bra. Now, all women are built differently, but if you look at my breast line, it should be somewhere between your elbow and your shoulder. It shouldn't be down by your waist. If you've got a problem with large bosoms, then you need a better bra. You need a bra that will pull them up and put them in the right place for you so that you look good. And if you've got a small chest, then you need a bra especially for that. But one of my favorite things is to go bra shopping, and I go to various different stores and I try on different ones to see which one is going to do the trick to get me where my bra and my bosoms need to be, right between my elbow and my shoulder. So that's what I have to say about bras. They're real important. They're foundational garments, and we need that foundation, ladies. We can't go without bras. We don't, because then they end up somewhere down in here, and that's no good. So what we want to do is to find a bra that's comfortable, that works for you. There's no sense in having a bra that's uncomfortable or that itches or that pinches or binds. And we want to make sure that we don't have a lot of the flab or the underarm fat hanging over the bra. So make sure that your bra takes care of all of that. It is a personal thing. I can get up here and I can promote a bra. I know which ones I like, but that's just for me and for my size of breast. Other women have different sized breasts, and you need a bra especially suited to your size. And that's what you need to be looking for, something that's really ultra comfortable. Now, the second thing on my beauty tips for women is a great mascara. Right now, I'm really into Anastasia products, and I like the Anastasia mascara. This is called Beverly Hills, Anastasia Beverly Hills, that's all. It's in black, and it's a small little tube, but it comes with this kind of wand. See how it's smaller in the middle? I really like that. That really helps me put on my mascara. Whoops, I just got mascara all over my head. But it just really helps me get the mascara on my eyelashes. So the second item, besides a good bra that's foundational, is a good mascara. Look around and find one that works for you, that you like. CoverGirl Outlast might not work for you. Your eyelashes may be thin like mine. Mine have gotten really, really thin as the aging process continues, so you need to have something that works with that. And for me, Anastasia works really good. So think about that, a good mascara. Look around and try a few different brands and see what you think. The third thing for me is a good eyeshadow. Now, I have done a makeup tutorial before, and I have explained to you that I don't use black eyeliner anymore. I used to when I was younger, but as I've aged and gotten older, I find that it's way too harsh for my skin coloring, way too harsh. So what I do is I will get the blues, like this CoverGirl. I really like this one. True Naked Midsummer Night Mayhem. What a name. True Naked Midsummer Night Mayhem. It's the blues. And I've got this wonderful green in here that I can use with my turquoise look and my green look both. It's got turquoise. It's kind of a dark turquoise. It's got blue and it's got dark blue. And I use the dark blue especially with a very small brush, and I use that to put on my eye makeup. I've got a smaller one, but I also use this one here, this size right here. To get a little bit thicker line. Today I've got a little bit thicker line than I normally wear. I've got a smaller one, that brush that gives me a really small line. But I don't use black eyeliner. I use the dark blue from this CoverGirl Midsummer Night Mayhem True Naked series. I find it works really, really well. And I love the white because the white tends to help tone down the darkness of the blue. I need softer colors as I age. Softer colors make me look good. So I use that white and I blend it with the blue or with the turquoise when I'm wearing that color. So another item on my list is a very good moisturizer. This one's nearly empty, but I'll show you what it looks like. It's about gone. It's like a little pink color, but this is Clinique. It is Moisture Surge. Moisture Surge. And it is one of the best moisturizers on the market for this dry skin. The other one that I have that I use at night is just plain Pond's. I love Pond's. I love the feel of it. I need a different kind of moisturizer at night to wear while I'm sleeping. So normally I will use Pond's and I'll put a little bit of Vaseline over the top of it, because Vaseline, believe it or not, just a touch of it, not heavy duty, but just a touch of it holds in that moisture all night long. And I find that's really helpful. So those are some things, some products that I think are good. One more is a good CC cream and a concealer. Now, I've got this concealer. These two go together. They're both IT. This is Bye Bye Undereye, and this is the CC cream with SPF 50 in it. Real important. You need a good CC cream, foundation cream, that will, it's called color correcting, full coverage cream. And I use this up all the time because my skin is uneven, and this really helps. It really helps. And this is the concealer, the Bye Bye Undereye, for under eyes and noses, like that. So those are my 5 beauty tips for older women. Get yourself a good bra. Foundational. Make sure that it gives you a line between your elbow and your shoulder, not way down here or way up in here. You don't want it way up in here. You want them right where they're supposed to be. And that just gives you a prettier look, a nicer look, a cuter look. So those are my thoughts. Foundational bra. Get yourself a good moisturizer. I use Clinique Moisture Surge and Pond's at night. That's what I use. And third, a great mascara. Anastasia or the IT Superhero. It's another good one. I also like a good variety of color eyeshadows so that you can have that dark blue. I use that dark blue nearly every day with this little tiny brush that I had that I just showed you. And I put that on, an eyeliner. And I don't use black anymore. I refuse to use black anymore. It makes me look way too hard. It just doesn't work with my coloring right now. So those are my 5 things, my 5 beauty tips. My mother was quite the makeup wearer. She wore makeup all the time. She had it in her bedroom and she wore it every day. When she went out, she had her makeup on and her hair done. She was dark-haired. She was a beautiful woman, and she was all of 5 foot, about 5 foot, that's it. Nothing more than 5 foot. But she kept her figure slim. She put her hair in a nice hairdo all of her life, and she wore makeup and she looked cute her whole life. And I think that's where I got this idea from. My grandmother was a different kind of a woman. She had like 3 or 4 different jobs, and she was a busy woman. I saw her on Sundays in makeup. She would fix her hair and put makeup on to go to church on Sunday, and then after that, she would go to the hospital and hand out her flowers. She was a nursery woman. She grew flowers from her home. She had 4 cabins on her property that she rented out to senior citizens who had nowhere else to go. And my grandmother had a central bathroom for herself and her renters on her property. So that's what she did. Plus she had a job in the packing house, and she packed up, she was from Florida, so she packed up oranges and grapefruit, and that was her day job. She put 6 kids through school doing that. And she was amazing. But during the weekday, it wasn't so much all about her face. She was a busy woman. She had, all she could do was to try to make a living. And when she died, she had plenty of money. She didn't believe in banks. She kept all of her money in her chest there in her house. And she paid everything by cash. She was a cash person. And of course, that was a long time ago. And when she died, she had plenty of money. She really did. She knew how to save. She knew how to spend. She knew what to spend on. And she was very careful about what she did with her money. So that's a little bit about my history from my mother and my grandmother. My mother was a pilot's wife. My dad was an airline pilot. And so mother would have social gatherings, and she would go to social gatherings with some of her pilot wife friends and so forth. And she always looked cute. She always looked the best she could look. She was a beautiful woman anyways. Dark hair, dark eyes. She was gorgeous. But she always kept her hair really cute. She always put on her makeup every day. And that's how she lived her life. She always tried to look as cute as she could be. Even though she ended up having health problems. She had lung problems for a while. But she still, every day, sat up in her bed. If she had to sit in her bed all day because of her lung issues, she still had her makeup on. She had her little bed jacket, and she looked cute. She always looked cute. So that was my role model for being older. So find yourself a good bra, foundational. Look around, do your research. I can't give you a recommendation because every woman is a different size. I know that I have a bra that works for me, but it might not work for you. Second is a good moisturizer, one for the morning and one for the evening. Another thing, a great mascara. I'll put the names of these maybe in the description below if I can manage it. And the next thing is eyeshadow. Use the dark color as you grow older. It will make you look softer, more feminine, and prettier, cuter. And get a good foundation cream and concealer. Good foundation cream and concealer. Those are my 5 recommendations for mature women. Now then, today I have a story for you about a woman in the Bible whose reputation was not so great. She was a harlot. And her name was Rahab. Now, Rahab was a Canaanite woman. And she had a house up on the wall of Jericho. And when Joshua and his tribe went into Jericho, they went and stayed at her residence. Now, she was an entrepreneur. She wasn't just a harlot, but she ran a house of ill repute. It was her home. Not only did she run a house of ill repute, but it was an inn for wayfarers, kind of a no-tell motel, if you will, that she ran. And she also had a business with fine fabrics and dyes. And she would spread out leaves all over the roof of her house to dry in the sun. And that is where she got the title of spy. Because in running this no-tell motel of hers, this inn, she would have travelers come in and she would hear the stories about God and about the Israelites and how they passed through the Red Sea on dry land and the waters came crashing down and drowned the Egyptians. She would hear the stories about how God took care of the Israelites in the desert and fed them manna from heaven and quail and water coming right out of rocks. She would hear all of these magnificent stories in the Bible about God. And these wayfarers would tell her these stories, and she was listening, and she was blessed by it. And she knew, she became a believer because of her listening to the stories from these men that knew. And that's what they would do. They would pass on these stories like that. They would sit around and talk and tell each other stories. And she would listen, and she learned about God. So when the two Israelis came, the two spies that Joshua sent out to get into Jericho, she let them into her house. She knew who they were right away. She recognized that they weren't from around here. And she knew who they probably were. And she began to talk to them. And she told them, look, I know your God is powerful. And I know your God is getting ready to help you take the city. And there's going to be widespread destruction here. If you will take care of me and my family, my mother, my father, my brothers and sisters, and keep us safe, then I will provide a safe place for you while you do your spying out of the city. And so the two spies that Joshua sent agreed and said, yes, we will make that deal with you. And that's what Rahab did. She was actually a believer. She actually became a believer because of the stories that men told as they came through her inn, and for other purposes, which we won't talk about. But anyways, to go on with the story, she took the two spies and put them up on the roof, underneath some of those big leaves. She had big leaves that she was drying for the purposes of her fabrics and her business. She was up there. She would put them out there and they would dry for a few days or a month or whatever the time was. And so she hid them. She put a bunch of these leaves over the two spies. And when the officials, the guards came, they knocked on her door and said, have you seen these two men? And she said, no, they're not here. You can look and see, but they're not here. I haven't seen them, but I thought I saw them go down the way. If you hurry, you might catch them. And that's what she told them. And they were hiding upstairs on her roof the whole time. So that's where she hid them, and they were able to spy out the city that way. And Rahab saved those spies. She kept them safe because of her reputation because of her ability to talk her way out of things and to misdirect the guards from the city. Well, pretty soon Joshua comes and he's ready to take down the city. And of course, you know the story about him walking around the building 6 times, 1 time every day for 6 days. On the 7th day, they walked around 7 times. And then they began to blow the horns and shout the victory. And pretty soon the walls started crumbling and crumbling and crumbling, and they fell down. But before that happened, the 2 spies went in to get Rahab and her family and brought them out safely. So Rahab wasn't there when the walls fell down. She left that business behind. She left her inn. She left her prostitute business behind. She left her fabric business behind. All that was important to her was her family, protecting and taking care of her family. And they took her and her family out back to the Israeli camp, and they were kept safe from the attack. And yes, the Israelites destroyed the entire city. The entire city. There was not one person left. It was completely and utterly destroyed. Why did God want the Canaanites destroyed? The Canaanites were a people of low morals. They were reprobates. That's why her business was so good, because even though she was a woman of ill repute, she had a thriving business, because the Canaanite men, the Canaanite women were moral retrobutes. There was no saving them. Basically, no turning them around. And so everyone in the whole town was destroyed, except for Rahab, her mother, her father, her sisters, and brothers. Now, there's another ending to this story, which is kind of romantic. In the end, Rahab gets together with one of those 2 spies that came and stayed in her home. One of them became attached to Rahab and her family. Even though she wasn't an Israelite, she was still a believer. And he married her. And she became the mother of Boaz. If you remember who Boaz was in the Bible, Boaz became the husband of Ruth, who Naomi and Ruth were 2 women that lived together. And Boaz was the person who had the fields, and anyways, in the story, he ends up marrying her. But Rahab ends up becoming the mother of Boaz, and Boaz is a marvelous human being, a wonderful man, a godly man. And he became the kinsman redeemer. That's what I was trying to think of. The kinsman redeemer. So that's the story, how God weaves things together. Took a prostitute who believed the stories that she heard about the God of Israel. And she knew that they were coming to destroy Jericho. She knew it. But she knew that if she talked to the 2 spies, that maybe her family, her mother and father and brother and sisters, might be saved. And yes, they were. So that's my story today about Rahab, the prostitute, the harlot, the spy, and the mother of Boaz. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow for another story, and I'll see you then.